Hello? 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 Is there anyone there? Hello? Oh, finally, people. People at last. Hello? Hello? We are surrounded and cut off. There were tanks and they were all gone, and the last one. You know what? What the fuck is a cards reveal? What do you mean, Finland? What are you talking about? There was so many tanks and guns, and we were lost, surrounded. What, new nation? New mechanics? Okay, that's pretty cool. I guess, yeah. Alright, morning, hello, how is everyone? Oh, that seems like the mic's a little bit loud. Hello everyone, hope you liked the little intro. We're okay, we got out the Eastern Front, we survived. So today we're going to take a quick look at the cards that have been revealed, and we're going to reveal 3 of our own as well actually, so there's going to be a little bit of a mixed package today. I'm not going to wait until the end to do all 3. We're going to do some of the reveals sort of sprinkled out the stream. So we'll start with looking at a couple cards. Then after that, we will move on to So I'm just catching up on chat. It's 6 p.m. in Southeast Asia. It's 11 a.m. here, so bright and early here. And yeah, we'll do a few reveals sprinkled throughout it. I just have to figure out, because Discord can be a little bit difficult, and Discord's going to be... Oh, that's not what I want. That's Audacity. Let's hide that while we figure out how to actually get Discord to show, because it can be a bit difficult. I don't know if I need to maybe turn streamer mode off. Perhaps that's necessary. Okay, I think this should be working. So will any of these be good in drafts? Yeah, definitely. Some of them definitely will be, without a doubt. Okay, right, let's show that, and then we'll cut this down to size a little bit. So you should now be able to see the cards Discord, which is what we're going to be using to look at these new cards. And then we will use a different technique to actually do the reveals themselves. So we've got 3 cards to reveal. We've got 1 Russian one and 2 Finnish cards. Let me pop this shivery soundtrack back on. That's sort of our background music. What if I just do something like no, I can crop this window. as we figure out the... There we go, that's perfect. And we'll expand that a little bit. Okay, so yeah, we're going to take a quick look at some of the cards already revealed. And then we will reveal a card. Did I not have answered? I swear I answered your mechanic. I may have not. My apologies. The question, I believe, was well, we'll get there in a second, actually. It's a bomber, and it's upcoming. So we're just going to quickly start skimming through cards. So we've got Stridsgruppen. Not really sure on the pronunciation. It's not really my strong point, pronunciation, but it's an interesting card. In fact, if I just zoom that out a little bit, and then we actually change that to be, there we go, that's perfect. So 2k 1/4 has +2 attack against units with higher attack, so it's going to be very good against sort of frontline lists or things with lots of units in the front line. The issue is it is relatively, I don't know, against control it's relatively poor, and I don't know if this salvage ability is enough to make this viable in control decks. But it might be viable in more tempo and aggressive decks. It's probably going to see mild play. So salvage, we're more going to use this as a way to look at salvage. Salvage means you get a copy of it to your hand with a maximum credit cost of 3 and then 1/1 stat. So this is like your sort of mid-range salvager. You know, you can steal a couple units, but you're probably not going to be able to get too much out of this. It's all right, not too exciting. But then when we look at other salvage units, it does get quite spicy. So the 50 Infantry Regiment gets +1/+1 for each enemy unit. This is relatively good. If you think about this in terms of like a Grenadier Guards, how many units do you need for this to become worth it? Considering we're paying 5k, I think 5k for a 4/6 is a relatively okay deal. Anything beyond that, you're really happy. So this is actually, I think, potentially not too bad. I'm not sure which deck exactly wants to run this. If we think about Japan, Finland, they've got like Osaka and things. However, Britain, it's got Grenadier Guards itself, and this 5k slot is a little bit contested. They obviously have this new Glamour Boys, which was revealed the other day, as well as Blackwatch itself, which is a really, really strong 5k guard. So this 5k range is a little bit difficult to play around, but for nations that maybe don't have something at this cost, like USA, Finland could use this. But yeah, it could see some play. Sisu, this is just I don't know. I don't think this card is particularly good for the same reason Retaliation is not particularly good. Just, you know, you can play around it very easily, and you're rarely going to win the game off it. With Sisu, you have to waste 3 credits. Retaliation, you only have to waste 2. So I don't know about that. Lotus Svard. This card reads really good. If you, there you go, look, staple. If you put this in like a Heinz deck, if you put this in a frontline deck, this -1 op cost is really, really important. You know, you only need to reduce 2 operation for this to go like credit neutral. But it's very good, this card. or at least it looks very good. The question is going to be, can Finland bring enough to the table for Lotosvar to be worth it on its own? Which is a difficult question. Hello, welcome back. We're going to be revealing some cards today. Commonwealth Players IQ test? Yeah, but I feel like you only get duped by it once. Okay, Panzer Grenadier becomes veteran when it starts your turn in the front line, and then you gain 3 additional credits. This card seems very strong. If this flips, you pretty much are guaranteed to win the game. So it demands to be answered of. Now, sure, the 2-3 for with Blitz infantry. This is like mediocre stats. You know, we saw Whirlwind. This is like Whirlwind stats, but this is on an infantry's body. So it's, I don't know, the body is mid-tier, but if it ever flips, you win the game. And this just means, like, cards your opponent has to answer, cards your opponent has to deal with, are generally considered quite strong, because if your opponent doesn't deal with them, they sort of lose the game. It's sort of like Geburg's Pioneer in that sense. Geburg's Jaeger, an okay Alpine unit, can potentially offer a bit of burn to Alpine, but at 4k, you're probably going to have played most of your Alpine units by the time Geburg's Jaeger comes down, so gives you a little bit more reach. Basically turns all your Alpine units into old autocannon. It does, of course, work with adding Alpine units, which we will see is relevant, but it's still quite slow as Alpine units go. 4k is in the heavier end, because Alpine's very much a tempo deck. Focused attack, it just seems okay. It seems like it can sort of do a little bit. If you think about Alliance, that's +2/+2 for 5k, but Alliance sort of isn't usable in most decks anymore. So Alliance was always sort of what we measured these against, but Alliance isn't as strong as it once was, so I don't know. I know Fun Please thinks this card is quite playable, or at least not bad. I don't think he's wrong completely. I just think in the harsh winters of the live server, the card is going to have a far harder time. Halifax. This was the card in question. The question was, do bombers with attack abilities, like the bomber, I believe it's one of the Stukas, hitting their HQ, does that trigger the effect from this? Like, if you play the Stuka and hit the HQ, will that discard something? Is the question. I don't know is the answer. Not playable in draft. What, focus attack? I don't know. It might be playable in draft if you've got the right deck for it, but it's still quite slow. But Halifax seems amazing. Halifax seems really strong. This card turns all your bombers, all your late game bombers, into like a B-17 or an Avenger. This card is really powerful for its effect. The only downside is that you can't do it in a USA made nation. You have to do Brit USA or USA Brit, and a lot of these big bombers don't see play at the moment anyway, and that it can hit face. So you very much have to edit your deck to fit in the Halifax, and whether that's worth it, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It might be worth it, it might not, but it's an insanely powerful effect. It's just if the weaker cards that this asks you to run can be ran for the sake of Halifax, because I don't think it's worth it on its own. Bomber run. Deal 2 damage to a unit. Deal 5 instead if you control a bomber with +5 attack. Again, seems quite good. I feel like people might learn to hate this card in the lower and mid ranks. It's I think it has the potential to be a little bit oppressive in frustrating people. This 5 damage for 2k is a lot, and that's gonna kill pretty much every unit in the game, which just makes killing these big-bodied bombers so much more difficult. You know, you can't really kill them in most unit-based ways. Tanks are going to be the only thing that can really do it. Even fighters. This is going to kill most fighters in the game, right? I think this card is potentially very strong. Korsun, this card is ridiculous. Again, if we think about the Polish boy we were looking at earlier, we were saying how, you know, what stats do you need from a 5k unit for it to be worth it? This is going to cost, you know, if you've got 2 units on board, this is a 4k 5/7, which is solid. But if you've got 3 units on board, this is a 3k 5/7. And yeah, you can run this in tokens, and that's ridiculous. You can get this down to like 2, 1, or maybe even 0 credits. But even if we just think about existing decks, if we think about like south damage, where you drop 2 or 3 34ths, these massive guards, and then you play this, and it's just an extra one, and it's really good. Another deck, even Soviet Control, I think this is viable in. You know, you've got your engineers down, you've got an armored train down. This is going to start costing 3 or 2k for a 5/7. That's a lot of stats for very cheap. Yeah, it's just going to blow up most fighters on the spot when we run. Right, I think we're almost ready for a reveal. We've got Push, which people have talked about using in an OTK deck, which is quite a spicy idea. Quite an interesting idea. I quite like that idea. But I think we're almost ready for a reveal. Are people ready for the first reveal? Should we see the scuffed? You know, all right. We're gonna reveal the least exciting card first, and we'll work our way up to the coolest one. So we're gonna start with least exciting, and yep, it's the one with the animal in it. It is the one with the animal in it, Joshua. It's got an animal in it. There were a few guesses at what the animal could be. Some guesses were better than others. This isn't so. This is a finish card. Oh shit! I forgot my Discord was showing. Oh. Find my way back to the cards Discord. I forgot my Discord was showing. Doggo, donkey, spider. Dog or pigeon. It is not a dog or a pigeon. Anime stream when? What, just because someone sends me an anime gif on Discord? Just because someone sends me an anime gift on Discord, I got to do an anime stream. I don't know what a mully is. Is that an animal? It's not a donkey. It's not a donkey. I wish it was a dolphin. That'd be awesome. Right. Shall we bring it up? We've got horses in game already. This is an animal never seen before in game. Right, is everyone ready? Here we go. Oh! Look at this. It's a reindeer. Not the most exciting card, but someone was talking about draft earlier. This could be draft viable. Infantry Regiment 11. 3k with 1-up cost, so, you know, not terrible cost and stat-wise. 3-4 with salvage. So if we think about infantry stats, 3k you're expecting like a 4-4. 3k 1-up you're expecting a 4-4 or a 5-5. And this has salvage, so is that worth the stat reduction? I don't know. We'll find out in draft, probably. That's probably okay in draft. In ladder, this might not see too much play, but it's a standard. It's a good way of introducing decks to salvage and Finland as a nation. And we do have reindeer in the photo. We've got, well, 3 of them pulling these logs. We've got skis and reindeer. This is maybe the most festive card we've got so far. I think I see Santa somewhere in the background. Yeah, I think good draft card. Okay card in like low to mid tier constructed. I don't think it'll be playable in higher tier constructed or more competitive, you know, constructed decks. However, yeah, it really depends on how powerful this salvage keyword turns out to be. But I do think a lot of the US 3k infantry are still going to be stronger than this is. Over Stridsgruppen, it's a solid point. I suppose you would maybe want to run both. But that is a solid point. They are very similar in function. But there you go. That is the first one revealed. Let's return to the cards, and then we will do the subsequent reveals. So, Winter Regiment. This card seems nuts. This card seems like I don't know if it's 5th Rangers for Japan, but it's close. This op cost really hurts it, because you can't drop it on turn 4 and start trading. But on turn 5 onwards, this trades so effectively. You know, against Jaguar, against mid-range, against any aggressive deck, this is nuts. We want to talk about draft. This is going to win you draft games on its own. This card is ridiculous. It's really powerful. The only downside is that it might be slow against some of these aggressive decks. They might just be able to overtake you before you can stabilize. But if you can find a way to stabilize, or you can run this in your own sort of mid-range aggressive deck, this card seems really strong. You know, a 4-4 which heals itself every turn. The Blitz no repair card, yeah, but that doesn't heal and that doesn't have salvage. You know, this Sort of, but I think the healing itself, and you know, you've not lost too much for salvage. When we look at like when we look at, oh, I don't know why I'm scrolling up when I just revealed it. When we look at our infantry, you know, we're losing stats here. We're losing what's considered average for the salvage ability. This, we have salvage and we heal off it, so it seems fairly powerful to me. Because, yeah, like the Stutzen heals itself. I think this card's going to be draft powerhouse and constructed viable. For surrender, I think this card is terrible. Not because of what the card is itself, but just because I don't think Pin's going to be a viable deck in this expansion. I don't think Pin's going to, as a deck archetype, I don't think Pin is going to be viable. And you really need an entire board of pinned units for this to be worth it. Pinning one thing two turns in a row, I don't think that's worth it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this card is cracked. Maybe this card is going to become the new toxic thing. But I just feel like that this card is going to be not having a home. I don't think there's any home for this card. I think this card is just going to be left on the sidelines, and we'll probably see it in 1 or 2 years become meta in a sneaky deck, which no one sees coming. But until then, this card is just going to be sidelined. M10A1. I like this card a lot. If you think about Half Track, this card is really similar to Half Track. It has a deployment ability which fights, or not fights, but you know, Half Track sends to hand. This just removes the abilities. But similar. I'm struggling to draw comparisons today, but this is very similar to Half Track, but what you do is you get 2 extra attack, and you don't get to send it to hand. And sending it to hand is obviously very powerful. When you send it to hand, you force your opponent to replay it. You force them to spend their credits on it. But M10, they don't have to respend it, but you also get this extra attack in return, which is, I don't know. I think this card is potentially very strong. I don't know if it's better than a Half Track. Maybe you run both. Maybe you do 2 Half Tracks, 1 M10. Maybe you do, oh, I don't know. It's difficult. But this card, in a world without Half Track, this would be played in a lot of places. But in a world with Half Track, it's a more difficult conversation. It really depends, I think, as well, on what needs suppressing. You know, if the meta changes where bouncing things is not enough, and instead you need to suppress them because they have an ability, then, you know, this can, I don't know, this can remove Sexton's ability. This can do a lot of things. I don't know if it is Outrider, because your opponent has to spend their full turn redeploying the unit. Now, yes, this can suppress a guard, and they don't get to replay the guard, but usually with Half Track, if you bounce something, your opponent's in a lot of trouble. You know, you're killing them that turn or the turn after, even with the redeploy. I'm not sure it's better than Half Track in a vacuum. I think Half Track's better in a vacuum, but I do think there's metas where this would be stronger. I do think there's situations where this would be stronger. Alright, my music's come to an end. We'll play something more fitting. Okay, let's keep moving. 13 engineers. Yeah, it's a card. It's interesting. I don't know if it's viable at the moment. I think when it gets more support, it'll be more viable. If it gets more support, I also think it might just be worth it in a few decks, just as a side piece where you're triggering this randomly. But I don't think you can build around it at the moment. But it might just be worth it in ramp, you know. You just adjust your deck a little bit to fit it in. You can do it with First Airborne, but again, I don't know if that's worth doing. Is First Airborne worth putting in your deck for this? Because then you're stuck with First Airborne, and this is on the bottom of your deck, you know. Fiat seems like a pretty strong card. You know, you get a lot of value from this. You get a 2-2, a 1-2, and a 2-3. 2-3 by default. But if you've got a big Alpine board, you get a whole lot more. This is also very good with the we go up. Gebirgsjäger. If you've got Gebirgsjäger on board, then this does 4 points of burn as well, which is quite relevant and something we're going to see happen fairly often, I think, depending on how many people actually put Gebirgsjäger in their decks. But this card seems very strong. You get a lot of stats, and I don't know, it just feels really good. And having access to a bomber for Alpine is really nice. T-3485, this card seems pretty terrible. Definitely gonna be one of these shit, I can't believe my special was this, when you open it in a pack. You know, you're very much gonna be like, ugh, I was hoping for anything else. But maybe it'll be worth it. The issue is just this ability. I mean, think about it like this. You finally find something. You need this guard a bit is almost useless because it can't protect your HQ, because if you're protecting your HQ, you can only protect one other unit, and they can just kill the other units and then access your HQ. So the guard is almost irrelevant. It's just guard in the front line more than anything. 142nd, pretty good. Pretty good. Gives USA some access to healing, which is nice. H29 swag. The swag mobile. This is one of the strongest cards in the expansion, potentially. And that's quite the claim, I know. But this card has so much potential. Am I getting baited by Perfect World Scenarios? Probably. I'm probably looking at this and getting baited by all the potential things this can do, but Fury Artillery is pretty strong on its own. This Suppress on attack, oh, it's very powerful. This card is crazy potential. I just hope it can access it. Raph Mitchell, nothing too excited, just something for draft and mostly just draft. Maybe some lower tier games. 20th Infantry, I'm pretty excited for this. You can do this with Entrenched, which is pretty funny, but you can also use this with Stiff Upper Lip to generate draw really, really easily. It's a new guard for Stiff Upper Lip is the main way I see this. Okay, Panther D, this card I think is pretty good. I think it's it might be competitively viable. I don't want to go so far as to say it definitely will be, but I think it might be. Because it's a lot of damage very quickly. But this is only when the unit attacks. Attack damage dealt is only on attack, so it's a little bit confusing, I think, wording wise. I did trash it, yes. I did trash the T-34. But yeah, I think this card is almost competitively viable. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out. Gebirgsjäger is just a strong Alpine unit. You've got the issue in Alpine of whatever you deploy first doesn't get the buffs. This does. The issue is it's 3k, so you're not going to be deploying it first. Really, you want to hit Pioneers into this. You want to go Gebirgs Pioneers into Gebirgsjäger. 13 Gebirgsjäger, and that's where this will be really strong. Other than that, it's just an Alpine unit. Another Alpine unit for the Alpine deck. Type 94 TK early. One of the better one drops for Japan. I don't want to say one of the best, because this has a huge drawback, which is actually one of its strong points, which is that it's a tank. It can hit face the moment it comes down, which is really good, but it will not buff your 35T. Your 35T cannot use this for reduced op cost. So that's a fairly big deal, but it's still a very strong one drop, which, you know, if you hit twice, that's 3 damage. If you hit 3 times, that's 6 damage. And considering you can attack when this comes down, that's pretty good for a 1 drop. So it's a lot for 1 credit. Enemy contact, pin a unit, draw a card. It's an okay card. Worryingly controversial, but we'll move on from that. This card is insane. Ability wise, I think this card is just an Alpine, such a powerhouse. You deploy 3 Alpine unit, you deploy 3 light infantry from this, you get in the front line, you can't reach it anymore. This card is, oh, I don't know, this card's really good. Monty at home. It does say something about Monty. When pinning a unit and drawing a card is 2 credits, and Monty does wow. This one is okay. Shuffles enemy units into your deck is something new we've not really seen before. It's like Blade of the Samurai, but 1 more. It's interesting. It's pretty cool. So must remove card? Yeah, it's a must remove card. And what's the rule? Most must remove cards are probably quite good, because if your opponent doesn't, they lose the game. Must remove cards are normally quite good. They're only bad when they are stupidly easy to remove. 3 defense is fairly nice. The units, the tokens on board have Alpine, but they don't get buffed. They don't get stat buffs, if that makes sense. So they'll have the Alpine ability, but Alpine is only when added or deployed, so they won't get pluses. They'll just have the default ability. Yeah, the Hornissi is too easy to kill for its cost. It's too easy to kill for its cost, and the payoff is too slow to be particularly useful, so that's one where it's not. Who owns the card if it gets bounced? I'm not sure, actually. It's a good question. I'm not sure. We will go with what Red says, because I don't know otherwise. Supply priorities, good card. Not necessarily better than Winter Warfare like people think it is, because you cannot do Soviet Japan with this, which is what South Damage wants to do. South Damage, you go Soviet Japan with 33rd Recon and Winter Warfare. Winter Warfare hits your HQ for the South Damage, and you get to draw. You'd have to do USA Japan for this. So not necessarily better than Winter Warfare because of the nation attached to it. However, Still a good card. Still a very good card. Could see play in USA decks as some cheap AoE for like Jagro and these sort of metas, but also really powerful in repair of all places, because it's a Winter Warfare and a Tarrant built in one, so very powerful. This card seems playable. Spoos seems interesting. You know, a 4/3 card for 1k is potentially very strong. I'm not sure what decks necessarily want to run Spoos, but I think it's usable. It's just, you know, heavily statted infantry are difficult to play around, are difficult to play with. But I mean, I think it's... Don't say Hamaji, I'm gonna murder you. I think it'll be probably usable, but I don't think it's going to be like meta defining or anything. I just think Spoo should have done a better job at going into hiding. I love this because when they showed this card to us in testers, I said, did you ask Spoos for permission before using his likeness? And the first thing people did was they responded with Spoos as the emote. So I was so happy to see that. Because I said it to IT, I've been like, how dare you use Spoos' face? Okay, this card is nuts. I really think this card is nuts. 4k for a 4/6 salvage. Salvage units, you deploy a 4/4s. So you get a 4k 4/6, which is already standard rate for infantry stats. And then you're getting 3k 4/4, 3k 4/4, 3k 4/4. Sometimes with deployment or special abilities. This card is... I don't know, this card just takes over the match. This card defines the board when it's about. I think this card is crazy good. Vanguard, it's... I mean... I guess you can use it in Italy. Ally control decks, but I don't think it's that crazy. I think it's a bit meh. Pummel seems really strong. V1 flying bomb. "3k 4/4s like that vanilla US infantry. I mean, it's just like strong rates for what is essentially free cards. It's you're getting 30th infantry, 30th regiments over and over again. It returns in a far weaker and decrepit form. Not really a problem if you ask me. What do you mean Pummel is trash? How is Pummel trash? V1 flying bombs saw serious play. Just as the V1. I think this card is good. It's versatile removal. I think this card's okay. Pack 36 is okay. Nothing too exciting. Good draft card. Finland looks like it'll be very strong in draft. Panzer Grenadier. This card is nuts. I think this card is really, really good. Yeah, but you can suppress something heavier. You can suppress something heavier that you're not... You know, you can suppress a Sexton, you can suppress a Blackwatch, you can suppress a lot of things. I think this suppress ability is what makes the card versatile. You can suppress 5th Rangers, you know. There's some good targets for it. But yeah, Panzer Grenadier, this card seems amazing. if you think about, it's no Sherman, but it's similar to Sherman. If you think about Sherman, Sherman's 4K for a 4-4 draws 2, and Sherman has been meta defining. This is 4K for a 3-4 infantry that draws 2. Now it draws 2 guaranteed cards, which on the one hand, it means you're not going to find other things you need from your deck, but you will be consistent with it. Yeah, 5th Rangers could get hit fairly heavily if Suppress goes heavy. Hammer Home, this card is insane. I just don't know if it's got the support it needs to be competitively viable. But the actual card itself is nuts. If you think about what you're spending for 4K, you're getting +4/+4, plus a unit, plus -2 op cost. So for 4 credits, you're getting +4/+4, -2 op cost, and a unit. That's it's a lot. I don't know if yeah, I understand, Faz. But my point is, it's the same effect in the idea that it's 4K, 2 additional cards, and an okay statted unit. It's similar not in application and how you're going to use it, I don't think, but it's similar in the sense that a comparison can be drawn to show power level. So I'm not drawing comparisons in you know, Sherman is the draw engine. I don't think this is a draw engine because, well, it doesn't draw you additional cards from your deck. It doesn't help you find more things that you might need. But it offers a similar amount of value, if you get what I mean. It offers a similar in value sense, and Sherman is really good for value, so it's very similar in the sense that it's very high value and it costs the same. Hammer Home, strong card. I don't know if Exile's going to be able to support it though. Oh, there's Panzer Grenadiers again. There's the pack again. There's the Hammer Home again. Yeah, MS with Hammer Home is a lot of damage, but my point is that going to be playable because then you have to run MS 406. Victory March. Set the operation cost of your units to 0. Gain the HQ equal to the total cost reduced. I think this is a good card. How much do you need to reduce by to make this worth it? I don't know. 6 is probably worth it because you can then operate your units instantly. But if you put down a 5th Rangers and 8/8s, then this becomes like really good, right? Reducing that 5th Rangers operation cost and healing. I think this card is potentially very usable, and it offers USA even more access to healing, which they didn't have before, which is a big deal. Duress, suppressor units. Nothing too exciting there. Devil's Brigade. This card is awesome. British Exile, Alpine, Blitz. Okay stats. It's got a great deployment ability, dealing 1 damage to an enemy, which can be enemy HQ, or just destroying an Alpine unit. This card, I think, is really good. And I think we're ready for a second reveal. Are people ready for a second reveal? We ready? Because I feel like we're ready.
polishing my nails. I'm stepping out, my dear, to breathe an atmosphere that simply reeks with class. And I trust that you'll excuse my dust when I step on the gas.
Yeah, people are ready.
Putting down my top hat, mussing up a white tie, dancing in my tail.
So, it's another finished card. So, the second finished card for today. Now, if you paid attention to the cards Discord, you'd have seen a little bit of a spoiler for what this would be. Here we go. Scrap metal. 0k. Choose and discard a unit to draw a card. Gain 4 credits if the chosen unit was salvaged. So this is a really interesting ability. You get to cycle one of your salvage units, or any unit, but more particularly one of your salvage units, and you get 4 credits for doing so. You cannot go off early with this. Is it good for hyper aggro though? Because you have to have a salvaged unit to use. Yeah, salvaged, not salvage. So I don't know if it's good for hyper aggro because you need a salvaged unit to discard. However, you know, in the right scenario, you're gonna be able to get a lot out of this. You get to cycle one of your cards, and you get 4 credits to then use the salvaged cards. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure what decks, you know, if a salvage deck is going to better fit this in. You could, you know, maybe in like a Japan Fin deck, you can sometimes chuck a Shiden out very early and do a lot of burn damage with this. It lets you use these salvage units a little bit differently. It lets you use them as a different resource. At worst, it's discard a unit, draw a card, but that is card disadvantage because you are discarding a card and playing a card to draw 1 card. But you know, once you can go with salvaged units, yeah, you can use it with Betty. You can use it with Betty, which is what, Japan Betty salvage incoming. Betty salvage, new meta. Salvage archetype is actually going to happen then. We'll see. I mean, there's definitely the support for it. Whether it's viable is difficult to tell at this stage, but there's definitely the support for it. But there you go. Right. Scrap metal. Last little look before we move on. Okay, here we go. And then we'll get to the bottom and we'll do the last reveal. We'll go quick. Ocken Bucks. Interesting card. You know, nothing too crazy. It's pretty good value. But what's really fun is when you got 2 of them, or like your opponent has them and you have them, and you salvage trade each other. It's very entertaining. 234th Mountain Rifles, a solid Alpine unit for the Soviets. On the Ascent, a really... Which unit's full name? Ox and Bucks.
Believe me, I've got a case on Nancy with a laughing face.
Ox and Bucks, there you go.
She takes the winter and makes
On the Ascent, destroy and salvage units with the least attack on the battlefield. This card is ridiculous. I love this card. Japan must always have 2 very strong elite orders, and this is the new one, I think. This card is, I don't know, very, very viable.
that's Nancy.
Take in mind, one of the downsides, this can hit your own units as well as the enemies. But when it hits both of your guys' units, you do still salvage your own units, so you get them back still. This card is really good.
Give you the very
Honor and Loyalty, I don't know how to feel about this card. It could be good, it could be terrible.
you would think
It's very easy removal, but also, is it worth it? 2k, remove anything, they draw 2. I don't know if that's probably not worth it.
I swear to goodness you can't resist her.
Hussards, these guys seem amazingly good.
Sorry,
You know, this ability, you can kill the enemy units during your turn, draw a card. If it was at the start of your turn, it'd be a lot less powerful, but you can play this on an empty board and instantly draw. This card seems very good.
with a laughing face.
I really like these guys. Yeah, you can play it on your own, guys, but I'm not sure at what point it's worth it.
I swear to goodness
But yeah, Hussards seem awesome. Strike from the Woods. Pin a target, add a sissy unit to your support line. This is what they are.
we have no sister
Units dealt damage by this are destroyed.
could replace
See them there messing up a little Soviet tank.
my Nancy.
Well, yeah, you can use it with KV Outrider, but whether that's worth it, I question. And then you got Cold Trap, which is just essentially an air defense for Finland. Very, very similar. We've got the White Death with one of the coolest artworks in the expansion. Suppress all enemies. It's all enemy units. It's not going to affect HQ, I don't believe. And then add a sissy to your support line with Blitz. Yeah, they are going to mess up frontline. The Americans are going to have a hard time in Finland. This card seems very good. Oh, we're almost at the bottom. Get +1 attack when your HQ takes damage, and then becomes veteran when it's a 6/6. Cannot be pinned or suppressed. No, I'm pretty sure it's not going to affect HQ. I'm pretty sure that is... I'm pretty sure that is not going to be true. Alright, I'm back. I'm pretty sure that's subject to change. I'm pretty sure that's subject to change. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's subject to change. but we will find out in due time. Where were we? Yeah, self damage. This seems real good. It might be a little bit slow, but this veteran side is really, really strong.
And the phone rings in the gloom. If it's you,
I seem to remember it being.
there's a rainbow.
I don't know. We'll find out.
And when someone
Yeah, this side is really good. Taking one less damage, combat damage is a very, you know, it's a 6/6 with heavy armor 1 against ground units, and you know you can't suppress it to get rid of the veteran side. It's very strong. 432nd, it's an okay card. Steel Regiment, it's an okay card. Probably quite strong in draft. And let's see, Ingenuity. It's okay. Again, probably quite good in draft. You know, there's quite a few options. I did actually make a... Let's see if I can find it. I did make a little thing on Google Drive that rolls this card for you. Ingenuity Tester. And yeah, this gives me access to a tool that I can just run it over and over again. So right, we played Ingenuity. We got Wellington, Catalina, and Mitchell. That's fine. This time we got Privateer, Blackburn, B-17F. That's okay. This time we got Wildebeest, Lancaster B, Catalina. Roll it again. Dauntless, Havoc, Super 4. That was an oof. That one is an oof. It's an unfortunate one. Roll it again. Sterling, Lancaster, Wildebeest. Not great either. It's the Lancaster Mark 1, not the Elite one. Blenheim, Lancaster. Okay, that one was trash. It's like a mid-tier card. Alpine Festung. This card is awesome. This card is nuts. It gives Germany healing, which is something Germany completely lacked. Right, hold on, I'm reading something. Give me a moment, guys.
In tropical climes there are certain times of day when all the citizens retire to take their clothes off and perspire. It's one of those rules the greatest fools obey, because the sun is far too sultry and one must avoid its ultraviolet ray.
Alpine Festung.
When the white men leave,
Strong card.
because they're obviously
There's the J King reveal. Entrenched. This card is one of my favorite cards.
in the midday sun. The Japanese
I love this card so much.
dare to.
Removing 10 cards is no bueno.
Family from 12
Yeah, but it doesn't matter against aggro. Against aggro, you don't care about deck size, you just care about staying alive.
to protect you from the glare.
You know, you don't really care about it against aggro. Against aggro, deck size doesn't really matter. You just have to stay alive. Against control decks, you just don't play it. You just don't play it against control decks. It's you just run it to beat aggro, and you just don't play it against control where deck size matters. But against aggressive decks where deck size doesn't matter, this is just 7k got a 25.
They give rise to such hilarity and mirth. Mad dogs
Ha 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 hee 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 hoo 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 hoo.
can never understand it. In Rangoon, the heat of noon is just what the natives shun. They put scotch or rye down and lie down.
So yeah, Entrenched, this card seems amazing. I love it. It turns
English Saab merely gets a bit more
so many of your units into win cons. It's I don't know.
mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. The smallest Malay rabbit deplores this foolish habit. In Hong Kong, they strike a gong and fire off a noonday gun to reprimand each inmate who's in late.
You know, your legions become win cons. Your Black Watch
And caribous lie around.
gets a 5 attack. Don't worry about the Fury thing.
To move at all is seldom if ever done. But mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday, out in the midday, out.
I don't know. This card is great. I love this card. This card's my favorite card. I think I've said that about 3 different cards. Special reinforcements seems alright. You know, you can get some pretty high value units from this. I don't think it's actually. I actually don't think it's terrible.
Stately clock as it stands against the wall
I think it's an interesting card.
of the raindrop
Glamour Boys. I think these cards are not that bad.
within me keeps repeating
I can see running 1 or 2 of these in a lot of decks.
night and day. You are the one,
Oh, that's everything. Okay.
only you beneath the moon.
Alright, turn this music off. Are people ready? Are people ready for the coolest animation in cards? Are you guys ready for this? This is the coolest animation in all of cards. And I don't say that lightly. I do not say that lightly. Yes, the coolest animation. Let me just get this ready for you guys. Now, don't worry about screenshotting the card. I am going to show it afterwards. So don't stress. Alright, let's see. How do I do this? Okay. Here we go. Oh! Look at that beautiful animation. Beautiful. Right, let's watch it again. Is everyone ready? Let's watch it again. And look what it does. Depths of Winter. Takes them away. Oh, it's such a beautiful animation. Look at that. Look at... It's lovely. It is absolutely lovely, is it not? Is that just not beautiful? Should we bring up the card for everyone to see the final version? Let's see. Here we go. Look at that. Remove all units from the battlefield. Replace them with light infantry. Turns everything into light infantry. What a card. What a card. Absolutely stunning animation for a stunning card that is going to fuck people up. This, oh, I don't know. This card is beautiful. I mean, yeah, you can play Winter Warfare afterwards to clear the board, but do you even need to? Do you even need to? You can just leave the light infantry on board. They're just 1-1s. They're just 1-1s. Okay, should we see how... Should we see the animation one more time? Should we see it once more? Here we go. Look at that. Swoops them away and brings in the replacements. Oh, it's such a nice animation. Such a nice animation. Right. That is going to be us for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And, yeah, I look forward to the expansion and doing some content with the expansion. I will catch you guys all next time. So, that is us for today. These are the Sunday reveals. That is it for Sunday. There will be more reveals, I believe, tomorrow. I believe there's reveals every day at the moment. Let's see. Is there anyone doing anything on cards on YouTube? Live cards. No, it's just us. Okay, we cannot raid anyone. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. I will catch you guys next time. And look after each other. Stay safe and much love from Top Deckers.